And good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here to the all-new Lake Chelan Health Hospital, now under construction. Due to open up, by the way, officially with a grand opening celebration coming up in the fall in October. But today, we are here in Lake Chelan now to give you a sneak peek of this new facility, and we're going to be joined on the tour by a couple of gentlemen here who are instrumental in what's happening here at the new hospital. Off to your left, as you're looking, you'll see Shawn Ottby, who is the Director of Operations for the hospital, and also we have Ken Peters, the Director of Facilities. We're standing right now at the reception area here, and what we're going to do is essentially let these gentlemen lead us on the tour and do the description. So I won't be talking a whole lot unless I have questions. It's not open right now. This would be the main entrance doors that we are looking at right at the moment, where you see the tape there. And again, we've got about almost 3 months to go until the hospital officially opens. So a lot of work to do, but a lot has been accomplished. That's what we want to find out today. So gentlemen, thank you very much. We appreciate your time today. And let's go ahead and you tell me where we want to go.
All right, well, we're going to just start like we were a patient presenting to the hospital. So this is the main entrance. So if any patient who presented here would present to the main entrance and to the registration counter. And if you're here to have an emergency care performed upon you, we would go to the emergency department. So we're going to head now into the emergency department. Yeah, so we're going to actually go into the triage room here. This would be the room that would be used to triage the severity of your illness. So you would come in as a patient into this large spacious triage room. It can also double as a treatment room for the ER, so when the ER gets busy, this room can be turned also into a regular treatment room. You'd be triaged for the severity of your injury, and we could either go into the ER for treatment, or you would go back out in the waiting room to wait your turn if the ER was full. So we're going to proceed on into the emergency department. If you were to come as a patient in the ambulance, you would come into the ambulance bay doors here, which is at the back end of the hospital. You can see on the outside of the facility there's an emergency sign above the ambulance bay, and you would come in this way. And we have a interesting or really important room here, which is our AII room, which is a negative airflow room. And it also has a decontamination shower that you can come into via the ambulance bay. So if you needed decontamination, you had exposure to organophosphates or fuel oil or something that needed to get off of you, you could go right into the shower, and then that would be the room that you would be in. Another interesting feature of the new hospital is a room that we have specifically designed for patients who are having suicidal ideations or threats of self-harm. And the way this room is designed is everything you see at the back of the room can be covered by an electronic garage door that comes down and covers up all the medical equipment. So if they have a patient in there that might be threatening to hurt themselves, we can isolate them from anything that they could hurt themselves with just a flip of a switch. Here we see the main nurses station. So this is where the nurses and the providers will be stationed. And it has clear view of one of the other really nice things that we have in the organization is this very large trauma bay here. So right across from the nurses station, we have a very large trauma bay. Oh, that's all right. You're doing great. This room is big enough to take care of 2 patients on a normal basis. So we could do a large trauma resuscitation or a cardiac resuscitation, or 2 at the same time. And in the event of a disaster, we can expand this room for 3 patients. So it's right across from the nurses station. It leads itself very well for critical care. And we will make our way down.
Watch your feet.
One of the other really interesting features of the layout of this hospital that is unique to us is through the door right there is right into CT. So you have the ability to take a patient right from the ambulance bay that's potentially having a stroke and take them right emergently into the CT scanner without having to go outside of the emergency department. So they're still within the care and the location of having a provider and a nurse readily available to them at any time during their care, right off the emergency department. We have another patient room here, off to the side there.
I don't know if there are actually
Probably no lights.
Okay, no lights, so we apologize for that, but we'll take a peek in here. So
then as
are all of these rooms to some sort of standard or code?
I'll let you answer that specific question, Ken.
They all meet the American Institute of Architects facility guidelines. They have to meet the current code based on the date of submission to the Department of Health for the actual construction. So these are the most up-to-date current codes.
Great. Thank you, Ken. All right, we move on.
And then we have 2 more patient rooms along this hallway, which have typically the same layout as the previous room that you just looked at, so that the workflow and the patient flow and the way the staff works within the room is standard for all of the rooms.
So how many patient rooms in total then?
8.
8.
With this one being an outpatient slash
So yeah, this would make for a 9th room, but it is going to be used kind of cross-functionally. So for outpatient procedures, so this room can be used for someone who just needs an IV infusion of antibiotics, or maybe an outpatient blood transfusion, or they need a treadmill stress test or something that would be an outpatient procedure. We would schedule those for this room. But if the room didn't have any scheduled outpatient procedures, we can also flex it and use it as an additional ER room. So again, going back to that idea of being able to have some cross functionality for things to be able to flex as our volumes increase and decrease because of the seasonality of the nature of this community. All right, well, we'll go out this way, or should we go in this direction, Ken? What do you think?
do we want to take them the route that the patient would come in and out and then discharge, and then we can go down from the registration to show an outpatient procedure,
Okay.
whether it be surgery or lab? Or...
Yeah, so you want to do the outpatient workflow first?
So these other 3 rooms here are just utility rooms, soiled utility rooms, consultation rooms, and you would be discharged from ER through here, check out with registration, and go back on your merry way. So we're actually right back to the front entrance.
The part everybody likes when they get to go home.
Yes.
Right?
So the interesting thing about the layout of the hospital is because of the nature of us doing both emergency medicine and also outpatient medicine, we've developed a way of having people wait in a convenient location. So the waiting room that you see off to my right here is dedicated for the emergency department. So this waiting room is open 24/7, 365. But if you're here for, let's say, an outpatient procedure like a lab draw or an x-ray or a CT scan, we have waiting alcoves all along the main hallway that are proximal to those departments. So if you're going for a radiology visit, you would wait in one of the alcoves adjacent to radiology. So we're going to head down that wing and start looking at some of the outpatient areas of the hospital. So currently it's full of construction debris, but this alcove right here would have furnishings and would be set up for waiting for radiology. So we're gonna just take a quick cruise through radiology so you can see the areas that you'll visit as a patient.
You're in the backside of
We're in
ER.
the backside of ER. We're learning.
We'll get there.
For some reason I thought we came out that door.
We were going to.
That's right. The first room here is actually a conference room. So this will be used probably mostly for staff training. It's just your typical conference room setup. We'll have furnishings in there for doing staff training, staff meetings, and so forth. And then we enter into radiology. First room we have is this plain rad fluoro. So this is if you just needed a regular x-ray. If you broke your arm or needed a chest x-ray, this would be that room that you would go to. And it's all set up and designed for the Siemens technology that will be installed in there. So both of the rooms that we have here that will have Siemens technology, they were spec'd and designed specifically for that technology.
Okay, so explain what Siemens technology means.
Well, Siemens is just the manufacturer that we use that provides our service. So there's a bunch of them out there, and Siemens is the one that we
That was
chosen
selected.
to use. Yeah.
So do we assume with the new hospital, much of what it's going to be equipped with will be new as well?
Yes. As far as patient care type technology, yes.
Okay.
Down this corridor are a couple rooms. One of them will house the DEXA scanner. The lighting is still poor down there yet, so we'll have DEXA scanner, we'll have mammography with a dedicated room, and then ultrasound will be in that room there, with dedicated rooms that are large and able to accommodate a patient and the equipment fairly easily. This is the other side of CT. So we looked at CT scan from the ED side. This was how you would present to CT if you were coming as an outpatient. So if you had an outpatient scheduled CT, you'd come in on this side of the door. And then we have our staff workroom. So this is where the radiology techs work, and where our radiology manager has his office. So all centrally located, makes itself really easy for staff teamwork and close to their department.
Did we move on the back side or go back to the front side? Do they get lab?
Okay, front side then.
I mean, because one of the things that we have that is working out is we actually have the front half is our public corridor, and the back half would be staff. And so we don't have to interface as far as if you're moving a patient, say from the MSU or our patient room floors to X-ray, we don't have to go through the front of the half and bother the public.
So that would help with efficiency, but also privacy.
Yeah.
Correct.
More importantly, privacy and protecting privacy.
Yeah.
So I just thought we'd probably stay on the public side and go
Sure.
from there.
As you were public.
So after you had your procedure and X-ray, then it'd just be a matter of taking a left and going back to the main entrance. Is that loud enough?
So this first little alcove here is part of our PT area. So from on this side of the building, on the left side of the building is physical therapy. This room in particular is for pediatric physical therapy and occupational therapy, PT and OT. And it will be set up with the equipment that we use that's specific for pediatrics. So it'll actually have a large structural jungle gym like apparatus through the middle, and then it'll have the other tools that we use for pediatric OT and PT in that room. And while we're talking PT-OT, let's just bump into that suite real quick and we can show you where the adult OT and PT area is going to be. So this is adult OT, PT, and speech language pathology, so our therapies area. We have 3 dedicated treatment rooms on this side of the suite. And then we have another dedicated treatment room at the other end of the suite. And then the rest of this is just your typical open floor plan PT-OT gym. So there'll be exercise equipment in here, therapy tables and so forth in this area. All right, Ken can show us lab.
So the first part of lab is where if you came in for a blood draw or urinalysis or anything like that, that's what this first half is. So we have 2 draw stations and the bathrooms associated if you had to provide like a urinalysis or something like that. This door here, everything beyond this point would be all the technical equipment for the lab testing itself. First aspect would be where the technicians enter and make sure everything is processed properly to have the test done. And if you see, we actually have a window. This is part of the back of the house where if someone needed to run a specimen to lab, they could drop it off right through the window to the technicians that are here. This portion is microbiology. So there'll be a hood. This is where they do all that. And then the rest of it is different equipment, whether it be equipment that checks the blood and white blood cells, or whether you have the next station be chemistry, all the different types of testing that they can do associated with whatever sample they're using. And then down on the end is the office and places for our refrigerators to store our reagents that the analyzers use. So other than that, it's a pretty open design, but when all the equipment gets in here, there's quite a bit of equipment. And then I guess that's pretty much it for lab.
Should we go in as into the pre-op side and in the OR, or in the OR first?
Let's do, well, you can show them the OR from this side.
Okay.
This door that we're coming up on is this is a cross hallway. This is our central sterilization, but we have 2 public bathrooms here. The doorway across the hall would be the dividing line between the public side and the
Staff
back
side.
of the house, staff side.
So we're gonna make our way down to the OR area. As you can see, there's another waiting alcove here.
I need to make a call.
That's fine. So we're actually going to enter into the OR through a door that would not be used by the public. So this is a staff access door. It would be locked to the public and key card access. So that's one of the nice things about the new facility is our ability to add electronic access controls that we can make sure that the right people get into the right locations so we don't have any issues that way. So we would cross this line, and this is called the red line, and now we're in a sterile environment. So if the hospital is actually running, we wouldn't come in here unless we're in full sterile attire. So this is your opportunity to see the OR before it's actually up and running. So the first OR that we have is OR1, and we'll actually go into OR1. And OR1 is set up as a general surgical OR. It can be used for any type of surgical procedure. This one is a little bit different because it has the addition of extra space and extra equipment. As you can see, all the piping on that wall. This would be one of the rooms that we'd use dedicated for C-section. So it has the ability to not only take care of the mom, but also the baby. So it's kind of a dual purpose at the same time, and that's the specific nature of this OR. So not only C-section, but also all other general surgical procedures can be done in this room. And now we're going to go to OR2. And this is OR2, and as you can hear by the echo, this is actually quite a bit larger room. The size of this room, it was actually intentional to be able to support larger surgical cases. So to support bigger orthosurgical cases or general surgical cases where we need more instrumentation or supplies. That's why this room is quite a bit larger than the other one.
And we apologize, some of these rooms are dark. They are not lit yet,
Not
so
lit yet.
for video it makes it a little difficult to see some of it.
And then I wanted to just point something else out. This alcove here, right now is actually a pass-through that goes into central sterile where instrumentation is sterilized and prepared for the next case. But part of the plan with this facility was making sure that spaces are not only cross-functional and can be used for a couple different purposes. Again, going back to the nature of the types of patients that we see in our fluxes of patients seasonally, it's also a combination for growth. So actually this hallway and the accompanying office spaces that are next to it were shelled out in a way that this could become the third OR with very limited cost and additional construction in the future, so that we could, if we were needing a third OR in the future, that we have one already kind of designed into the program. So we're going to actually work our way back. So we're starting in the OR, and now we're going to go into kind of the pre-op area. So this area is set up for both pre-op and post-op, both pre-op patients and recovery patients as well. So all along this wall, this hallway here is for recovery, so what we call the PACU. So this is where you would go after a procedure, and there's 2 large bays. Both bays hold 2 beds, so that's 4 patients. And then there's also a private recovery room for a patient that might need a private recovery, potentially a pediatric patient.
Okay, so that's the private room, and this would be
And these
for
are
two
bays, so
beds.
they're separated out by curtains. So 2 patients on this side with a curtain separation, and then on the other side, again, 2 patient beds with a curtain separation for the post-op recovery. And the open floor plan is a pretty common floor plan for recovery because you're still coming out of sedation, and the nurses need to be able to monitor multiple patients at the same time as they come out of sedation. And then we're going to come look at another really nice feature of the design of this hospital. And that is a dedicated procedure room. So this room is designed and laid out for any non-surgical procedure. So I think for the viewers, this would be mostly used for endoscopies, maybe small tissue biopsies, other things that don't need to be in a surgery suite, but need to be close to the nursing team. So this room is set up for, can do anesthesia and do full procedures in this room that are non-sterile procedures.
Real multifunction room.
Yeah, very multifunction, and it allows us currently in the current hospital, we do our endoscopies in the OR, which takes up OR space. So now we'll be able to have more free space to be able to do more OR procedures and endoscopies at the same time. This is the nurses station and physician station. That little alcove there is where the medication dispensing machines will be, and then along the back wall will be more supplies for the staff, and their computers will be at this desk here. Going back to what Ken was saying about the division between private and public, the private hallway is back there where the staff are and actually feeds into these 2 rooms here, which are the staff locker rooms. So they can come right from the staff hallway into the staff locker room, change into their scrubs, and now they're in the pre-op and the post-op area. We've got a supply closet there. And then back to that cross-functional idea, we're on the pre-op side, but we also have another procedure room here that can dual as a pre-op room, but it can also function as another procedure room for minor procedures, joint injections, biopsies. Those types of small procedures can be done in this room, or it can also be used as a pre-op room. So with that pre-op room, we've got 1, 2 on this side pre-op rooms, and then 2 more pre-op rooms on this side. So the numbers kind of equal out. We're able to pre-op 5 patients and post-op 5 patients. Back in the public hallway again. And then right across from the pre-op area is actually the Bragg room. So this is the Bragg conference room. So we're moving the namesake Bragg conference room from the current hospital to this hospital, and we'll have our Bragg placard will be along this wall and signage for this room. So this is the main conference room for the organization. They're just now getting the light fixtures installed. Nice open plan, good natural light. And a nice location for us to hold meetings.
Good sized room.
It is a good sized room. You want to go into the dining room?
Yeah, go into the dining room.
We've got workers in the dining room, so we'll just take a quick glance in here. So this is the main dining room. You can see open windows out to the south with a patio. And actually that's the patio where the guild bricks are going to be. So if you donated guild bricks, they will be out on this patio. Staff can come out and enjoy the weather while they're eating their lunch. And we're actually gonna kind of head into the kitchen now.
And they go to the long. So do 4 normal and 1 short.
So this is the service line, cafeteria style. So you would come as a staff member or a visitor and have a tray line on the front side, and on the back side is the serving line. Cafeteria staff would be able to serve you from that side. And we'll sneak into the kitchen now. The front side of the serving line will have hot wells, cool wells in order to serve out of. The back side of this line will be a char grill, and some other equipment here to be able to prep meals for staff. And then in the back side of the kitchen, which is a little bit dark, so hopefully you guys will be able to see, we're starting to get some more of our kitchen equipment in. And this is where we'll have our bread proofer, our bread oven, our convection oven, all along this line. And then the middle line here is actually where staff will do food prep. This will be a large food prep table for patient meals. So they'll have basically a assembly line process to put together patient meals. They'll be loaded in the patient meal tray and then go out to the inpatient departments. We've got two large refrigerator built-in walk-ins. And then a fairly large dry storage that's pretty dark still, so you probably won't be able to see it very well. But that's dry food storage. And then we're going to go out the staff entrance back into the main hallway and head down towards the patient care area.
There's actually 2 fans on, so I'll turn the other one off here in a second.
So you can look down this hallway and see the private corridor, which goes all the way down to behind the emergency department. So this is how staff will move throughout the hospital. Everything that's on the left of this hallway is basically the mechanical aspects of the hospital. All of our plumbing, med gas, suction, storage, IT is along this side, and everything on the other side was the departments that we went into. This hallway here goes to our clinical office staff. So our clinical directors and managers have their offices in this area. And for the viewers, you may have remembered some of the original floor plans that showed another patient care wing. The patient care wing that was changed with those plans would actually be able to extend out from this area. So it would be a mirror of what we're going to tour in a moment, but that would allow us to expand for future growth is directly down this hallway here. The desk that you see here in front of you is where our unit secretary and our house supervisor will sit. So if you're coming to visit a family member, this is where you would be greeted by one of our staff members. And then they would allow you access into the medical surgical unit. So we're going to head down in that direction. These double doors here will be closed, and you'll be granted access by our department staff that you were greeted by. An interesting feature, or really actually a great feature of these doors, are they're going to be wired to an infant abduction system. So the system that we've installed in this hospital uses an RFID chip that is actually attached to the baby. There's an option for a bracelet or a footlet or actually a clamp on their umbilical cord that has an RFID chip in it. So if the baby gets within a certain distance of these doors,
About 6 to 8 feet.
those doors will lock. So it prevents infant abduction. The only way the doors are able to open is if a staff member checks the baby, checks the mom, makes sure it's the right mom for the right child, and then would allow them out of the facility. And that's the same way at the door at the very end of the hallway. It has the same infant abduction system to prevent any infant abductions. So we're now in the patient care area. The patient care area is actually divided up into 2 sections. So the hallway that you see in front of you is the medical surgical side. So these are all medical surgical beds. And its mirror image on the other side of the hallway, which we'll look at in a moment, is the labor and delivery side. Down the middle of that corridor is where all of the staff resources are, and they're accessible from both sides of the hallway. So linen supply, med supply, food supply can be accessed from either side of that hallway. And we'll look at that in a moment. The first room, once we enter med-surg, is actually a bariatric room. You can see by the size of the door jamb opening and the size of the room, as well as the size of the bathroom door opening. This room is designed for patients who fit bariatric criteria. This room will have a bariatric bed in it that has a higher weight limit than our normal beds, and it will have an over-the-head lifting system to be able for us to move those patients without putting our staff at risk for injuries from lifting and turning. So that will be overhead on a gantry. And then we'll go down and look at a regular patient room. I want to show you guys quick server system. So this is actually not a door to walk through. This is actually a door into the nurse server. So this door would open, and then from the exterior, staff would be able to stock linens, routine use supply equipment up above, and access to dirty linen and dirty biohazard from the exterior of the room. So this allows you to stock the room without interrupting patient care and without interrupting the solitude of the patient that's in the room. By nursing staff, and nursing staff would be able to go into the nurse server and get equipment and stuff out of that server without having to leave the room. So they don't have to leave the room for things like linen. Commonly used supplies are all readily available in this cabinet here. Patients, this is called the head wall. This is where all the med gas and suction and alarms are. So this is the head wall. The bed would be in this area. Nice view out the window and a fairly large bathroom with a built-in shower. And the shower is at floor level, which is a great thing to decrease fall risk. So people don't have things to trip over trying to get in and out of a shower over a curb. The floors are slanted towards the drain, and it helps with drainage so it decreases fall risk. These 3 doors along here feed into the central core for stock for the hospital staff. So the first door that you see all the way to the right is for soiled utilities. So that's where dirty instruments, dirty items would go to be processed. The middle door you see is for medication. So that's where our locked medication room is. And then this door here is for our nutrition. So grab and go stuff, coffee and drinks would be in that location. And they're accessible again from both sides of the patient care area. This is the main nurses station. Open floor plan again. It'll be where all of their computer documentation stations are. The central monitoring for physiological monitoring will be in this location. Infant abduction will be in this location. Our obstetrical monitoring system will be in this location. And I just wanted to point out the glass and give kudos to the nursing staff for making the decision to add glass to the original plans that didn't include that over their concerns for quiet environment for patients to rest at night. So it really cuts down on sound travel in this open care environment, and that was an addition that our nursing staff really wanted for the comfort of our patients at night. Go down to the end and around.
You can. It's basically staff toilet, supply room, or the equipment storage in the huddle. So these are, as we continue down, they're just additional patient rooms, just like the ones we've already seen. We have an equipment storage,
which is pretty good size equipment storage.
Everything from spare IV pumps to you name it.
Patient lifts, wheelchairs. These 2 rooms here of note. These 2 rooms are negative airflow rooms, or AII rooms. So you guys have probably seen a lot about that in the news recently with COVID. These rooms are dedicated and designed as negative airflow. So they're already set up from that manner. This is the staff break room, or what we call a staff huddle room, where staff would meet at the beginning of their shift and the end of their shift to do report and to make assignments, and that's this room. And now we're in the other side of the corridor. So this is now the labor and delivery corridor here, as you can see.
I think this room is more done. All 4 of these rooms down this side are identical. I'm just trying to go with what's the most complete of the 4. The flooring's not in yet. So what we have here is this actual portion would be for the infant warmer. Behind me over here is where mom would deliver. Once the baby was born, they would maintain and take care of the baby on this side, and mom can be maintained and taken care of on that side. These 4 rooms actually have bathtubs in them instead of just a standard shower. And so they're bigger bathrooms for mom, and the creature comforts that come along with that. Again, all 4 of these rooms have the same nurse server, just a little bit layouts just a little bit different on. These are longer this way, whereas in the other rooms they were longer that way. But they still maintain the same function.
The question always comes up, why are the labor rooms so big? Well, the reason behind that is they are designed for the total care spectrum for the OB patient. So they'll labor in that room and they'll postpartum in that room, and the baby will stay with them in that room the whole time. So we don't have to have a pre-labor area and a post-labor area and a nursery. It's family design. Everybody stays together for the whole course of care. So there's room for the baby, room for the dad, and room for the mom, all in the same space.
Okay.
And that continues down for all 4 of these rooms.
So with that many rooms, I suspect then that birthing is a pretty good percentage of what the hospital deals with?
Actually, so that's an interesting statement. It would be something that we would like to grow, and it's certainly something that the community needs and the region needs. It's one of those situations where we feel like if you build it, they will come. We know what the numbers are out in the region. We know what the numbers are in our community. They just haven't been giving birth at our current hospital, and I think the sentiment is, at least from providers and from staff, is moms can choose where they deliver their child at, and they're going to choose a location that they feel comfortable in. And we feel like we've created a situation where we've given them a really comfortable opportunity to deliver their babies in our area. So just because these rooms, we're calling them labor and delivery suites, doesn't mean that we can't use them cross-functionally.
Okay.
So we would certainly, if we didn't have a mom that was actively laboring or one that was going to be laboring soon, we would admit a post-surgical patient into one of these rooms or a medical patient into one of these rooms. So they're not dedicated just for labor and delivery. They're designed for labor and delivery. But again, back to that cross-functional modality idea, we're going to be able to flex and bend depending upon what patient volumes are and what necessity is.
Good to know.
What other areas would you like to hit, Ken?
I don't know if you want to see the back of the house. I'm going to have an Augustine turn the fans on real quick.
Okay.
So we're going to go to the back of the house hallway where we have different aspects. We start out with, we talked earlier in the surgical suite, pre-op and post-op. These are the female locker rooms and male locker rooms for that. And we have our OR supervisor's office here. And then we actually have our main pharmacy where basically all the pharmaceuticals will come here and then they get stocked out into med rooms in the different areas through a device called a Pyxis, which is a self-dispensing that the nurses have access to, but they'd be restocked and everything from our main pharmacy.
Is there a pharmacy area within the hospital for the public per se? Let's say someone's being sent home, they have a prescription that they need. Is there somewhere within?
Not currently.
Okay.
I know that there's been talk about if we can do what they call outpatient pharmaceuticals, but at this point in time, we do not have that. I'm not saying we will have, I'm not saying we won't have, it's just currently we don't.
All right. Just want to let you guys know, we had Aaron Edwards check in, say awesome tour guide, so I would concur. You guys
Thanks,
are doing
Aaron.
a great job.
Basically, there's no lights in here. It's workstations, supplies, and all that, along with if we ever expanded and did chemotherapy, we're having provisions where we could do chemotherapy, mixing, and compounding. But that's not currently it's not currently being done, but we're having the provisions that we can do it in the future.
Okay.
So as we continue down the back of the house, If a patient on MSU needed to have a surgical procedure done or something like this, this is the back of the house doorway to the pre-op, post-op areas. And so they'd come in, and depending on where they needed to go, but we were on the other side earlier on in the tour. There is no lighting currently down here, but this section here is where our IT would have their work areas, the main server room, where all of the phone systems, the communication systems, and all that are housed. And then they go from here to different breakout comm closets.
Is that a lock-off room, IT?
A walk-off?
A lock-off.
Yes. Then we continue on down. This one here it actually opens up into part of the soiled utility room from the surgical suite, so that they don't have to take any contaminated instruments or anything like that out through. They can come from their room on the inside, bring it out here, and not go through the rest of the hospital with it. This was the 2 OR rooms. They were just on the back of the house. Normally this door is emergency exit only, mainly because this doorway is considered our red line, where everything beyond that point is sterile. I don't know how much, Sean, you covered that earlier when you came.
The same. Yep.
Here's our main mechanical room.
Okay, just like there's some noise in here with fans and whatnot, so I'm going to have you get closer.
This is our main mechanical room, where we're going to have our water heaters, our medical air compressor, medical vacuum, fire alarm system, sprinkler system, and all that comes into the building. We have 2 rooms here. Part of this is a physician's workroom, whether the physician needs to step away and have a break from all the everything that's going on, or if they needed a private place to sit down and talk, or chart recording. It just gives them a place that they can step away briefly, along with, because we're going to have still a few people at our old facility, and here this is what we're going to use as like a hoteling room. What you'd find is anytime you had an office in a hotel, anyone can come and use it. It's available for people to come up if they needed to do some work here and have a place to use a computer or tie into the system, vice versa. Next spot is we'll come down here. We have loading docks for our supplies to come in. We have cardboard, waste cardboard breakdown storage, medical waste, our med gases that are in cylinders, like nitrous oxide, nitrogen, carbon dioxide. We have a medical air compressor in the mechanical room, and we're having a big liquid oxygen tank outside on the of the facility for all of our oxygen needs, instead of having to have individual oxygen containers that come every week to refill. We can take a step back down through there. Like I said, this is the medical waste, cardboard, another small staff locker room. The room on this side is our maintenance department, where we can do work on equipment along with biomedical equipment. There's times that carts, due to whatever they're being transported, may become dirty or contaminated. This is a place that we can do cart washing and stuff like this. Can't really get through here, but here is 2 big loading doors on this side. So all of our supplies and deliveries will come in here. On the far end, there's that double doors. That's our material control, where all of our materials get stored, processed, and then delivered to supply rooms in different areas of the hospital. Some of these rooms back here, I was telling a second ago, was the medical gas cylinder storage, the manifolds, and dirty laundry.
Let's show them the generator, because I think that's a really important component of the organization.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do it from here.
Yeah,
Not
that's
the
what I was
process,
thinking.
Doc.
It's gonna get bright.
So right now, this little generator is just temporary until the PED, but right behind it is a 1.2 megawatt generator to provide power throughout the whole hospital. So we actually have outlets throughout the hospital, not every outlet, but all the critical outlets that are red in nature, and it's broken up in what they call life safety, which would be your fire alarms or any alarm systems that could alert if there's a life safety issue. Then you have a critical branch, would be for like any of your ER, if you had a ventilator operation or anything like that. And then you have your equipment branch, where you'd have more select outlets at different places that would be tied to a generator in case we lose all power in the area.
Now we're looking at a scheduled grand opening October 15th. So is the project on schedule, Ken?
As of currently, yes. We're running into some issues on supplies. One of the things we're waiting on right now, we got notified yesterday that our serving line for the kitchen, it may be, we were hoping to have it by August 15th. It may be closer to September 9th or September, to mid-September. Our equipment that is used for sterilization of your instruments, the main manufacturer can't fully build the equipment yet because their supplies haven't come in to finish them. So as it stands right now, yes, we're going to meet the substantial completion by the first week of September to let us to get training and everything opened up for our schedule. But that may get pushed a week or two depending on what happens here in the next week or two.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, now where?
So we step back inside. There's a couple more areas. Does your camera cover the light change pretty quick?
Pretty quick, yeah.
Okay. There's still some areas that, so we've had some issues with between labor and industries and the PED getting hooked up. They're supposed to hook up today, which we are energized for the permanent power, but because it happened late this morning and most of the stuff site shut down on a Friday, they'll start tying in all the new hallway lightings, and these temporary lightings that you see hanging everywhere will start being pulled out.
Okay.
I don't think you can see it. So from here, this door here, the next door, and the next hallway back to the front half, that's our central sterilization, and that's where they sterilize and process all instruments that are used not only for surgery but anywhere throughout the hospital.
By the way, we want to thank those of you that are watching our sneak peek video tour here at the new Lake Chelan Health Hospital under construction right now, and not that far off from nearing completion, grand opening in October. And we thank you for being here on Lake Chelan Now, and thank all the great hospital staff, and stick with us. We're going to wind things up here soon.
Okay. There's only couple different things left. Right behind you is our environmental services. No, it's locked. I don't have a construction key yet. So basically all of our housekeeping, cleaning supplies and all that are here, along with our clean linen and stuff like that. We have janitor's closets, 5 of them spread throughout in each department so that they would operate their cleaning cart from there, but the main supply for cleaning is in this room that's locked that I can't show you.
Okay.
So I'll give you an idea, people talk about computers and cabling. This is just one of 3, what we call IDFs, they're comm closets. And that's where all your all these yellow cords are for computers, for interface for that, for monitoring equipment, whether it be physiological monitoring, lab equipment, you know, with the requirements that we have electronic medical records. Everything's got to interface with the records, and so a lot of our equipment that we have will be able to interface with that, so you have permanent electronic records available for staff and public.
That's a maze of wires in there.
And that's just one of 3.
Wow.
And then this is the, we have the loading dock in the back left, but basically this is where we have all of our material storage. Everything from, you name it. If it's coming into the hospital to be used, it's going to come through here first, get signed in, tagged and everything, and then go out to the rest of the facility. And then I can't let you go in it, but our main electrical room is next. There's actually 2 rooms. Again, so we just got fired up today, and in case there's panels open, everything's energized. I can't let you go in. So as you look in, you can't see it in the picture, but on the other side of that wall straight ahead is where we actually have a 3100 amp main disconnect for the whole hospital. From there it comes in, gets fed through different feeders. This bank of left panels here are automatic transfer switches that transfer to what I was talking about earlier, is the life safety branch, the critical branch, the equipment branch, and all that. And then everything gets fed out from here to different electrical panel rooms and feeds the whole hospital. And then last but not least is just for those that have ever used our MRI, magnetic resonant imaging. We have right here is actually a set of double doors. We're still going to have a MRI trailer that will come in to provide services, but instead of having to use that outdoor elevator that they have or the ramp, you'll actually step off right into the trailer. So it should help on anyone that has issues with getting in and out of the trailer that we currently have. That's pretty much it. The door behind us is the back side of ER where we started, and this is just another exit out of the building.
How far are we from the entrance signage? Do we have time to walk there and continue?
You can actually
or?
go out
We're
this
going to go out this door
and
we
show the signage.
Show
Okay,
you right where you're at.
get a little exterior shot.
Yeah, we can show the MRI load area here.
Watch your step. So the MRI would be backed up in this hole, and that's where you come out of those double doors we just showed. We talked earlier in ER where the ambulance would come in. And the ambulance entrance, basically the ambulance would drive through here, and you'd be taken through that door there, mindful of the gravels and the curbs so you don't fall.
All right, so ER entrance here
Yeah, your ambulance entrance.
for the ambulance.
And then main entrance.
Okay, I'm going to paraphrase for you. You're a little bit far away from me, I think. Okay, we're approaching the main entrance now.
We're going to have a step up on concrete here in a second. I don't want to see you trip.
Yeah, because you're not open yet.
Oh, exactly.
And if you get hurt, we're responsible.
We're in a world of hurt.
So realistically, as you drive in off of Apple Blossom Way, which is that entrance right there, we're directing our ER patients to go here, and our ambulances actually says emergency ambulance only. And then it just so happened on Tuesday or Wednesday, they put up one of our other outdoor signs up.
Yeah, we'll take a walk over here and maybe close out with a shot of that sign. And very efficiently laid out, 52,250 approximate square feet on a $44.5 million project scheduled to open within a couple of months. And again, we just hope you have enjoyed the opportunity to be with us here and talk to the folks that know the new facility inside and out. There it is. That sign really pops, doesn't it?
And it's actually lit behind the letters. So it'll
Okay.
be like a backlit sign.
Ken Peters, thank you so much.
You are very welcome.
Appreciate your time today. And then Shawn Ottby, we appreciate your time as well, Shawn. I know you've been a busy guy leading groups through here. More to come.
Yep.
Must be exciting times.
Very exciting.
All right. And again, we thank you for watching here on Lake Chelan Now. Going to pan over here and give you a little shot of Augustine. He's working hard today as well. Hey, Augustine.
Kind of hanging out here, yes.
This puts it in perspective. You can see the Chelan Business Center over there as we look across over to CVCH, Chelan Valley Community Health. Walmart would be beyond that. The new O'Reilly Auto Parts store over there. So it's going to be an easy spot, convenient, plenty of parking. And again, be on the watch for the official grand opening that is scheduled to come your way right now, at least on October 15th, and we'll keep you posted here on Lake Chelan Now. Our thanks also to new CEO Aaron Edwards, who was checking in on everybody here today. We appreciate that. Aaron, thanks to Lake Chelan Health for making this video possible. For now, Dennis Rahm, Lake Chelan Now. See you around the bend.